All right, let's dive in. We're tackling sales success today. And guess what? We've got not one, not two, but three guides by the one and only Rajneesh Jain to help us out. First up, 128 ways to improve sales. Think of it like your secret weapon for boosting those numbers. Then we've got the desert of sales. This one's all about building that mindset you need to not just survive, but thrive in the sales world. Like, seriously thrive. And last but not least, we've got the entrepreneur's field guide. What's cool about this one is that it takes these sales gems and shows you how to apply them to starting and running any business, not just sales, which is super interesting. So whether you're a seasoned sales pro or just starting out, get ready for some serious aha moments. We're going to uncover some surprising tips and strategies you can use right away. But we'll also dig into the psychology of sales, that resilience that separates the top performers from everyone else. Because let's be real, sales can feel like a slog sometimes. It can feel like a desert, right? But Jane's here to show us that even in the toughest conditions, there's a path to that oasis of success.
The first thing that really jumped out at me was this morning mindset ritual that Jane talks about in 128 ways. It seems so simple, but I can totally see how it could set you up for a killer day.
Oh, yeah. It's all about starting with intention, setting the tone. Jane actually recommends 3 daily affirmations. First, today is going to be the best day of my life. Second, through my world-class solutions and services, I am going to help as many people and organizations overcome their challenges. And third, I have the required knowledge, skills, mindset, and experience to execute my duties successfully.
Wow. I love how he connects personal success to the value you're bringing to others. It's not just about hitting your targets. It's about making a real difference for people.
Yeah, it's about aligning your goals with a sense of purpose. And those affirmations really hammer home the idea that you have what it takes to make that difference.
Totally. And that actually leads perfectly into another point that really surprised me. Jane wants us to love the word no. Like, really love it. I mean, most people would run for the hills, right? How does that even work?
Well, you have to think of no as feedback, not rejection. It's a signal to learn more about your prospect, maybe tweak your pitch, or even uncover new opportunities you hadn't thought of before.
So instead of shutting down when you hear no, you're saying we should be asking, okay, what can I learn from this?
Exactly. That no might be pointing you towards a yes somewhere else.
Makes you think, huh? This actually reminds me of another concept Jane brings up, ROTI, or return on time and energy investment. He really dives into this in the desert of sales.
Oh yeah, ROTI. That's a crucial one, especially in a field like sales where time is your most precious resource. It's about being intentional with how you spend your energy, making sure you're focusing on the high-value activities that actually bring you closer to your goals.
Right, so it's kind of like that classic 80-20 rule, yeah.
Yeah,
Focusing on that 20% of your efforts that produce 80% of your results.
exactly. Jane encourages prioritizing your clients, prioritizing the opportunities that have the most potential. Always asking yourself, are the things I'm doing right now actually moving the needle? Or am I just spinning my wheels?
That's such a good question to ask yourself regularly. It's so easy to get caught up in busy work that just feels productive, but doesn't actually get you closer to what you want to achieve. Gene's really reminding us to stay laser focused. Now, he also gets into some pretty powerful persuasion techniques, especially in 128 ways, stuff like Cialdini's 6 principles of influence. But there's a catch, right? It's got to be ethical.
Absolutely. Jane is a big believer in ethical persuasion. He's all about building genuine relationships, not manipulating or tricking people. It's about creating win-win situations.
So we're not talking about using these techniques to, like, pressure someone into buying something they don't need or want.
No, not at all. Jane believes that kind of short-term thinking always backfires in the end. Building trust in long-term relationships is the only way to go.
That makes total sense. One of Cialdini's principles that always stuck with me is social proof, the idea that we're more likely to do something if we see others doing it. How does Jane suggest applying this in sales? Ethically, of course.
Well, one way is by leveraging testimonials from your happy customers. But not just any testimonials. Jane says to focus on the ones that really resonate with your target audience. Stories that show how your product or service solved a problem that's similar to what your prospect is facing.
So it's not about just bragging about how great your product is. It's about showcasing how it's actually made a difference in people's lives. People relate to stories way more than a list of features.
Exactly. And those stories build trust and credibility, which are essential for any successful sale.
For sure. Now, Jane has this interesting tip in 128 ways about asking yourself, so what? every time you describe a feature of your product or service.
Ah, yes. It's all about shifting your focus from features to benefits. It's about asking yourself, okay, I've told them about this feature, but what does it mean for the customer? How does it solve their problem or make their life better?
It's about making those connections for them instead of just listing off a bunch of features.
Yeah, exactly. You're painting a picture of how those features translate into real, tangible value for the customer.
I love that. It's like you're speaking their language.
Yeah.
One last thing that really resonated with me, especially from the Entrepreneur's Field Guide, was this idea of mentally rehearsing for tough business situations.
Oh, yeah. It's like doing a mental workout for your entrepreneurial muscles. Jane suggests visualizing both positive and negative scenarios. What if you land that huge client? What if your biggest deal falls through? How would you handle it?
So it's not just about hoping for the best. It's about being prepared for anything, right?
Exactly. By facing those challenges in your mind beforehand, you'll be much better equipped to handle them in the real world. You're building resilience, and that's a key difference between the people who succeed and everyone else.
It's like you're running a simulation in your head,
Yeah.
preparing yourself for those inevitable ups and downs of the entrepreneurial roller coaster. I love that.
It's a powerful tool, and it really speaks to that deeper level of mindset work that Gene emphasizes throughout all of his books. Success in sales and in entrepreneurship in general. It's not just about strategy and tactics. It's about cultivating the inner strength and resilience to deal with all of the challenges that are inevitably going to come your way.
I love that. It's not just about the how-to of sales. It's about the who you need to be to really succeed. And that brings us to,
You could say it brings us to the heart of it all, right? The core of what makes a salesperson truly effective. And that's something we'll definitely dive into even more as we continue this deep dive.
this is just the tip of the iceberg, folks. We've got so much more to uncover from Jane's incredible insights. So stick with us. We'll be right back after a quick break.
Picking up where we left off, Jane really emphasizes understanding your ideal customer. It's not about selling to just anyone.
Right. It's about finding those people who really resonate with what you're offering, who will actually benefit from your product or service.
Exactly. And the desert of sales really encourages going deep on understanding your target market like. What are their needs, their desires? What are their pain points? What keeps them up at night?
Yeah, it's almost like you're building this detailed profile, like a persona of that perfect customer, so you can tailor your entire approach to them.
Right. And that deep understanding helps you communicate better, connect with them on a deeper level, and ultimately build those stronger relationships that lead to success in the long run.
Because when you really get your customer, you can actually position your product or service as the solution they've been searching for all along.
It's true. Jane talks a lot about listening closely to your customers and not just what they say, but what they don't say. Picking up on those subtle cues, those unspoken needs and desires.
It's like you're reading between the lines, right? He even mentions things like observing their body language, their tone of voice, their overall demeanor. It's like you become a detective.
That's a great way to put it. And that's where adaptability comes in, Being able to adjust your communication style based on who you're talking to. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
It definitely takes practice, but when you're dealing with all kinds of different people, it's super important. Speaking of practice, Jane also has this great tip about rehearsing your sales pitch until it feels completely natural, like second nature.
Oh, yeah. It's just like anything you want to get good at, right? Practice makes perfect. He suggests things like practicing in front of a mirror, recording yourself, even getting feedback from colleagues.
I like that because when you're confident in your delivery, it just shines through and you automatically become more persuasive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, confidence is key.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about handling objections.
Yes.
Jane sees objections not as roadblocks, but as opportunities.
Opportunities to what? To dig a little deeper?
Yeah, exactly. Opportunities to understand where the customer is coming from, address their concerns, and maybe even tailor your approach a bit more. He recommends anticipating those common objections and having really clear, concise responses ready to go.
So instead of getting flustered, you can just handle those concerns calmly and confidently. You could even use those objections as a way to strengthen the relationship.
Exactly. He suggests a technique called feel, felt, found. It's where you acknowledge how the customer is feeling, relate those feelings back to others you've worked with, and then share how those other people ultimately found value in your product or service.
That's smart. It's like you're validating their concerns without just dismissing them.
Right. You're showing them that they're not alone in feeling that way.
So Jane's really focused on this idea of understanding the buying process from the customer's perspective, like really putting ourselves in their shoes.
Yeah, anticipating their needs and concerns at each stage of the journey. It's like you're creating this roadmap.
Okay, I like that. And of course, this ties back into ROTI, right? Making sure you're focusing your time and energy on those prospects who are most likely to actually convert.
Exactly. You don't want to waste your time on dead-end leads. And this brings us to another crucial point. Asking for the business. It might sound obvious, but it's something a lot of people really struggle with.
Yeah, it's about having a clear call to action, right? Like guiding them toward that next step.
Exactly. You want to be assertive, but not pushy. Jane actually provides some great scripts and phrases you can use to strike that balance.
That's super helpful. Okay, so what happens after you've closed the deal? Is that it? Are we done?
Oh, absolutely not. Following up and continuing to nurture that relationship is so important if you want to build long-term loyalty.
So it's about going above and beyond to show them you're invested in their success.
Right. You want to turn that customer into a raving fan, someone who not only keeps coming back for more, but who tells all their friends about you.
That's gold. That word-of-mouth marketing is priceless.
Totally agree. Jane also talks about building a strong personal brand, both online and offline.
So things like being active on social media, sharing your expertise, building that network of connections.
Yeah, it's about establishing yourself as a thought leader, as a trusted resource.
And that personal brand can become a magnet for new clients, right? It gives you instant credibility.
It's true. But it's not about creating this fake persona. Jane really stresses authenticity, being yourself, being passionate about what you do, and building relationships based on trust.
I love that. Because at the end of the day, people buy from people they like, they know, and they trust. Now, Jane has this really specific strategy in 128 ways that I thought was interesting. Target account methodology, or TAM.
Oh, Tam, yeah. That's where Jane really gets into the nitty-gritty of sales planning. It's about identifying those high-value accounts, the ones that have the potential to make a big impact on your business.
So it starts with research, right? Understanding their needs, their challenges, their goals.
Exactly. And really understanding their industry, their competitive landscape, those pain points that you can address.
Okay, so you're getting this clear picture of who they are and what they need. Then what?
Then you can start crafting a really tailored sales strategy, a plan of attack that speaks directly to their unique needs and challenges.
I like it. So it's all about being strategic.
Right. Identifying those key decision makers, those influencers within the account, and figuring out how to build relationships with them. This could involve attending industry events, using social media, networking.
So you're not just throwing spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks.
Exactly. It takes persistence and a genuine desire to understand their business and how you can help them.
It's about building trust, which you can't really rush.
Right. And once you have that trust, you can start having conversations about how your product or service can benefit them, using things like case studies, data, testimonials to back up your claims.
It's about showing them, not just telling them how you can solve their problems.
Exactly. And this requires knowing your stuff inside and out, understanding your product, its strengths, even its weaknesses.
Right. And you have to know your competitors, too.
Yeah, so you can highlight what makes you unique, why you're the better choice.
And when it comes to pricing, Jane's not about just competing on price. Right?
No, he's all about focusing on value, on demonstrating the return on investment, the long-term benefits that you bring to the table.
So it's about having those strong negotiation skills, being able to clearly articulate your value, and ultimately reaching an agreement that works for both sides.
Exactly. And Jane actually offers some great tips for negotiating effectively. He emphasizes things like preparation, listening, and finding that win-win solution.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you've closed the deal, you've negotiated the terms. What happens next?
Well, then it's all about delivering on your promises, even exceeding those expectations whenever possible, continuing to nurture that relationship and turning that customer into a loyal advocate for your brand.
It's about keeping that momentum going.
Exactly. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that's crucial, especially for entrepreneurs: financial management.
Yeah, this is where Jane's experience as both a salesperson and an entrepreneur really comes through. He knows that being smart with your money is non-negotiable for success.
Absolutely. He talks about the importance of really understanding your financials, your revenue, your expenses, cash flow, profitability.
Okay, so it's not just about making money, it's about knowing where your money is going.
Right. It's about creating detailed financial projections, tracking key performance indicators, and staying on top of your financial health.
So you're making informed decisions based on data, not just guesswork.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And managing that cash flow effectively, making sure you have enough coming in to cover your expenses and invest in growth.
So things like invoicing promptly, collecting on time, negotiating favorable terms with suppliers, right?
All of that. And exploring different funding options like bootstrapping, angel investors, venture capital, bank loans, and of course, understanding the pros and cons of each option.
So you can choose the one that's the best fit for your business. Jane also talks about having a clear exit strategy, which might seem a little premature, but it's important to think about.
Yeah, it's about planning for the long term. How are you eventually going to sell your business or maybe even go public?
It's about thinking ahead, anticipating challenges, and getting the most out of your investment.
Exactly. And this requires careful planning, legal counsel, and a deep understanding of the market.
Jane's insights into financial management are so valuable.
They really are. It's like he's giving entrepreneurs this roadmap for making smart decisions, minimizing risks, and building a sustainable business.
Okay, so let's talk about building a strong team, which is another essential piece of the entrepreneurial puzzle.
Jane is a student of human behavior and leadership, and he knows that having a great team is the backbone of any successful business.
So where do you even start?
Well, it starts with hiring the right people.
Mhm.
And I don't just mean people with the right skills. You need to find people who align with your company's values, with your culture.
So it's a cultural fit as much as a skills fit.
Exactly. And then it's about defining clear roles and responsibilities, setting expectations, and providing ongoing training.
So everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing and how to do it well.
Right. And then you need to empower your team, give them the autonomy to make decisions, and take ownership of their work.
It's about trusting them to do their best.
Exactly. And then you need to foster a culture of collaboration, open communication, and mutual respect.
Creating that positive work environment where people feel valued and appreciated.
Right. Jane believes that kind of environment is what attracts and retains top talent.
Makes sense. You want
So-
people to be excited to come to work every day.
Exactly. And it's fascinating how Jane connects company culture to the bigger picture of brand building.
Oh yeah, he sees them as being completely intertwined. Like a strong company culture is going to naturally shine through in your brand.
Absolutely. It's all about defining your story, your values, the emotions you want to evoke in your customers, and then being consistent in your messaging and your actions.
So it's not just about slapping a logo on something.
No, it's about creating a brand that you're proud of, one that authentically reflects your values and resonates with your audience.
And you have to live those values, right? It can't just be lip service.
Exactly. Jane's insights into branding are like a blueprint for building something strong and recognizable, something that truly connects with your customers on a deeper level.
I like that. Now, one thing that comes up again and again in Jane's work is the idea of continuous learning and personal growth.
Yeah, he believes that to really thrive in the ever-changing world of business, we need to be constantly learning, adapting, and evolving.
So it's not enough to just rest on your laurels?
No, Jane encourages lifelong learning, seeking new knowledge, staying ahead of the curve with new technologies, challenging your own assumptions.
So attending industry events, reading books, taking online courses, connecting with mentors.
All of that. It's about pushing yourself to grow, both personally and professionally.
So it's about more than just making money. It's about becoming a better version of yourself.
Exactly. Jane reminds us that entrepreneurship is a marathon, not a sprint. You need to pace yourself, take care of your mental and physical health, and surround yourself with a supportive network.
I think that's such an important message. Jane's work is so inspiring.
It really is. He gives us a roadmap for navigating the entrepreneurial journey, and he reminds us of the importance of personal growth, integrity, and creating real value.
Now, before we move on, I wanted to touch on something that's kind of a reality check for all entrepreneurs. What about those unexpected challenges that life inevitably throws our way? Those curveballs that make you question everything?
That's a great point. Jane talks a lot about preparation and strategy, but what happens when you encounter something you could never have planned for?
Yeah, those moments of doubt and uncertainty when you feel completely lost.
Exactly. How do we navigate those moments? How do we find the strength to keep going when it feels like everything's falling apart?
I think it comes down to resilience, having that mental and emotional toughness to weather the storm. And it's about having a supportive network, people who believe in you and offer guidance when you need it most.
Entrepreneurship is a roller coaster, There will be ups and downs, and it's how you handle those challenges that really defines your success.
So embrace those moments of uncertainty, see them as opportunities to learn and grow, and trust that you'll find your way through.
You got this. And remember, you're not alone. There's a whole community of entrepreneurs out there who have faced similar challenges, and they're more than willing to share their experiences and support you.
That's so important to remember. Reach out, connect with other entrepreneurs, and never be afraid to ask for help.
Absolutely. And Jane would definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about another key aspect of success that he emphasizes throughout his work: building a strong network.
Yeah, it's like having a safety net, a group of trusted advisors and mentors who can offer support, guidance, and a fresh perspective.
He really encourages actively building those relationships with other business owners, industry experts, potential investors. Attend industry events, join professional organizations, connect with people on social media.
It's about putting yourself out there.
It is. But it's not just about what you can get from those relationships. It's also about what you can give.
I like that.
Jane is a big believer in reciprocity, in offering help and support to others, and building genuine connections based on mutual respect and trust.
Because a strong network can open so many doors, right?
Absolutely. It can give you access to resources, advice, and opportunities that you might not otherwise find. And when those unexpected challenges hit, having that network to lean on can be a game changer.
It's like having a sounding board for your ideas, people who can offer different perspectives and challenge your assumptions.
And sometimes just having someone who understands what you're going through, someone who's been there before, is invaluable.
For sure. So be proactive about building your network. Reach out to people you admire, go to events, be open to new connections.
You never know where your next big opportunity or your next mentor will come from.
I love that. And as your network grows, so does your potential for success, right?
Absolutely. It's about expanding your reach, your influence, your access to resources.
And this leads to something that I think is really cool. The idea of building an ecosystem around your business.
Ah, yes. It's about creating this network of partners, suppliers, distributors, other stakeholders who all contribute to your success.
It's about thinking beyond your immediate team and identifying those people and companies who can complement your strengths and fill in your gaps.
Exactly. You're building strategic alliances, collaborating on projects, creating this web of support to help you scale and reach your goals.
I like that analogy, the web of support. It's like you're creating this interconnected network that helps lift everyone up.
That's a great way to put it. It's a reminder that we don't have to do everything ourselves.
Yeah, collaboration and partnership can be such powerful forces.
Jane really believes in being generous with your knowledge, helping others succeed, and creating an ecosystem where everyone benefits.
Because when everyone in that ecosystem thrives, the whole community wins.
It's a beautiful vision, isn't it? Entrepreneurs supporting each other, sharing success, everyone reaching their full potential.
I love that. And it's a vision that we can all help create.
One relationship at a time.
So true. Now, before we wrap up, I wanted to circle back to something that really resonated with me from Jane's 128 Ways to Improve Sales. He talks about the power of storytelling.
Oh, yeah, stories. It's amazing how a good story can really connect with people. Like, in this world where we're bombarded with information all the time, a well-told story can really cut through all the noise and grab your attention.
It's true. And Jane believes that stories are super effective in sales. He even calls salespeople to become master storytellers, to weave narratives that captivate their audience and make their message stick.
Yeah, it's about moving beyond just dry facts and figures and really tapping into those emotions, you know? I mean, think about it. We're hardwired for stories as humans, right?
Yeah.
We've been telling stories since, well, forever.
Right. It's how we make sense of the world, how we connect with each other.
Exactly. And Jane actually offers some really practical tips for crafting these compelling sales stories. He talks about starting with a relatable protagonist, which is often the customer who's facing some kind of challenge, and then you introduce your product or service as the hero of the story, the thing that comes in to save the day and overcome those obstacles.
It's like those classic hero's journey stories, but for sales.
Right, and it's important to really paint a picture with your words,
Yeah.
make the listener feel like they're right there in the story, experiencing that transformation.
Yeah, it's about bringing that story to life.
Exactly. And you know what else Jane emphasizes? Authenticity.
Oh, yeah, he's big on that.
He encourages salespeople to share their own stories, their own experiences, their own passion for what they do. That genuine connection can be so persuasive.
Because when you share your story, you're not just the salesperson, you're a human being.
Right. You're sharing an experience, a lesson you learned, a journey you've been on, and that vulnerability can create such a strong bond with the person listening.
It's about making yourself relatable.
It really is. It builds trust, it establishes your credibility, and ultimately makes your message way more impactful than any sales pitch ever could.
I love that. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Rajneesh Jain's work, what are some of the key takeaways you think our listeners should walk away with?
Well, I think the overarching theme is that sales success, or success in any field really, isn't just about tactics and techniques. It's about having that right mindset, one of growth, resilience, and a genuine desire to help others.
It's about being the best version of yourself.
Right. Starting each day with intention, seeing challenges as opportunities to learn, and focusing on those genuine connections.
So it's not just about closing deals. It's about building something that matters, something that makes a real difference.
Exactly. And remembering that success is a journey, not a destination. As Jane reminds us, there's always a path to the oasis, even in the toughest of deserts.
I love that. On that note, I want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of sales and entrepreneurship with Rajneesh Jain. We hope you found it valuable and inspiring.
We hope you're walking away with some actionable insights and that renewed sense of purpose.
The world needs what you have to offer. So go out there, make those connections, build relationships, and create something amazing.
We'll be cheering you on every step of the way. Until next time.
Happy selling.